everybody's interested in something, no matter how niche of something it is. I don't think there's anything that can lead to burnout quicker than, new creators go into the industry and, they see this TikTok of people making money doing this thing. If you're doing something for the money and chasing after it, I think that's the quickest way to hate being a creator.
Yeah, would you say that if you're a creator, whether it be photo or video, to almost lean into something that you're passionate about before you dive into trying to build a business? I've met skaters who, when they first started as videographers or photographers, the way that they got their foot in the door was going to work at the skate park. They were starting to shoot content at the skate park. And then I also know some other people who were really passionate about festivals. So they started to go to festivals and do like festival videography, event recap videography, photography at events. And then when we're having this conversation with your photography journey, we're talking about something that we mutually have experience in, which is the swim world. And the swim world seems to be really tight. It seems to be some place where once you start to build that rep, people will get behind you and support you. And you've really built a name in the swim world. So talk about how important it is to follow your passion when you are first trying to at least build something in the creative space, whether it become photo or video, because the last thing you want to be doing if you don't love NASCAR as a photographer is going to NASCAR events, because you're not going to even know how to shoot it. Like, you're going to be up on the 7th level or whatever. You just don't know, right? I can't even talk on it because I don't even understand NASCAR. But my point is don't follow the trends, follow what you actually know, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that can lead to burnout quicker than, new creators go into the industry and, they see this TikTok of people making money doing this thing, and, so they go and chase after it. If you're doing something for the money and chasing after it, I think that's the quickest way to hate being a creator. Like, I've had instances throughout my, the last 5 or 6 years that I've been doing this, where if I'm not truly, if it starts to become too much about the work, then the interest level goes way down, and it's, the motivations can suffer a lot. And so being able to go back to that passion and figuring out why it is that you started, I think is big. And so, everybody's interested in something, no matter how niche of something it is, or maybe it's something like football. Whatever it is, you should go and figure out how to create content around that before ever trying to make money, because if you're able to creatively capture something that you love better than anybody else, then you can start to monetize it because you're better than anybody else at it, rather than doing something that everyone else is doing that you don't care about.
There's also some part of working in what you're passionate about that helps you build that credibility to then transfer that experience into credibility in selling, whether you go into drone videography or you go into wedding videography or you go into event videography. I think that when you build that experience around what you're passionate about, your best work comes out, your best collaboration comes out too, whether you're working with videographers on site or photographers or both, even if it's producers or people who you might be working for, if it's like an ad agency, or in the case of what you did with swimming, tell me a little bit about how you got into being a photographer for swimming on a commercial level. How does someone get into that?
I mean, in my case, I got a lot of the contacts that I have in swimming through my job with SwimSwam. So I am the photographer for the biggest swimming news site, which is SwimSwam. They produce the news for swimming. Everybody goes to swimswam.com to catch up on the latest things that are happening, whether it's college commitments or results from a meet or swimmer getting married, whatever it is, they cover it all. And so I'm their photographer, and they obviously have a lot of relationships and contracts with various swim brands. And so I was able to get in that way. But that was never the goal. I didn't go into it thinking my goal is to work with Speedo and my goal is to shoot with Mizuno. That was a byproduct of doing something that I really enjoyed and loved. I was in college when I started working with them, and so I didn't, I wasn't looking to make a quick buck with it. But over time, as I started to build that name and build that portfolio, brands started to reach out, and the better the work was and the more recognition it got, that's when I was able to start working with the brands rather than bombarding them from the start.
So when you first started working with SwimSwam, did you just say, hey, I want to work with you? Or was there a vacancy in a job opportunity? Or how did you connect with SwimSwam where they let you in? Because, if you think about it, there's a lot of talented creators out there that have the skill as a videographer or as a photographer to go work for their favorite networks. but there is some like relational aspect to getting the contract. So how did you find your way working with Swim?
Yeah, I mean, relationships is the most important thing in any industry, even creating. In college, I had tried to work with the guy who was the photographer for Swim, and then I became friends with him through our swim coach, who was David Marsh. He was the Olympic swim coach for the Olympic women in 2016, and he became our college coach. And he was friends with the photographer, and so I started assisting with him, and eventually I got to go and shoot one of the lower level meets for Swim under him. And at that point, he was transitioning over into a bigger job with the governing body, USA Swimming. So it was kind of, everything fell, into place in the right time. But when I got that opportunity to go shoot junior nationals, I didn't take it lightly. I shot thousands and thousands of photos and I delivered them. I spent days just pounding them with photos. And, that was a big comment that I got from the team at Swim was like, holy crap, you provided so many usable images for us. And editorially, they pump out articles every single day, all day. And so that was a big benefit for them. So, then I started working more and more with them, did more meets, and eventually was able to take that full-time role with them. So it all happened at the right time. But that wouldn't have happened if I, one, wasn't persistent in trying to work with the original photographer, and then also didn't build that relationship with both him and my coach, and befriending the team there, realizing that it's not all about you, and being able to build these relationships helped out a lot in the early days.
Yeah, in the early days, how important is it to really step away from this whole thought that it's all about you, right? You should be over delivering, am I right? You should be shooting more photos than you need to. You should be overshooting video, because the client wants variation. And at least in the beginning, when you're building your portfolio, would you say that that's something that you were able to almost leverage to get you to where you're at now in your early days of being a photographer, is that you were always over delivering for the people who are paying you?
Yeah. A lot of people are either perfectionists, so they, if an image or video is not perfect exactly how they want it, they won't put it out there. Or they'll be sticklers with money and think, I didn't get paid this much, they only deserve this much work. Like, no, if the opportunity is there, you do everything you possibly can to please them and to get that gig. And still to this day, I'm doing that as much as I can. If there's an opportunity to be on deck and get certain shots, I'm going to be there. Like, I still go to UCSD meets and I'm still shooting for them because I really like being able to capture try new things and get shots that are different in the sun. And, so any opportunity that you have to really over deliver when you have an opportunity with any brand or company, even if it's for free, doing it and getting their attention that way is a way to step out, because a lot of creators are perfectionists, or they think they need to be paid for every single image that they do. People place high value on themselves before they ever actually have that value or do anything, and that hinders a lot of people, I think.